Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 Takeaways episode from the Dr. Maggie Berghoff interview that I just posted this past Monday. I hope you guys really enjoyed that interview, and I think that her perspective on a lot of things is so relatable to other people, and it's so important to hear because she's this female entrepreneur who has 2 or 3 kids, can't remember right now off the top of my head, but I think 2 kids, and she has so much on her plate, but she's still able to get so much done. And I stress the importance of that because more and more I hear people use the excuse that I don't have the time to do something. And I try as hard as I can to never use that excuse. I try to say that I'm not willing to prioritize that particular thing right now, because I think what you got to realize is that, no, time is not the thing that you lack. Everybody has the same amount of time. Whether or not you're getting something done is a matter of whether or not you're prioritizing that particular thing. And we'll get a little bit into that with the 3 takeaways here with Dr. Berghoff. But if you guys didn't listen to it, you need to make sure you go back and listen to it. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss any of these episodes. Literally, I work so hard to bring you guys some of the most important thoughts and best people in the entire world in their respective fields and their respective industries and their respective thought patterns in order to help you guys get closer to the best version of yourself. And you don't want to miss any of these people. There's other people who are listening to every single episode and they're improving so much week in and week out, and you don't want to fall behind. You want to make sure that you're subscribed and you're listening to every single guest and you're getting all of these takeaways. Also, if you guys didn't realize yet that I started a new podcast series every Friday called Fitness Goal Fridays. You need to make sure that you tune in to those as well. Every single Friday, I'm going to tell you maybe a success story or a failure story from a client and what we've been able to learn that really allows people to execute with their fitness goals at a high level. I'll talk about some of my fitness goals and all that sort of thing. So it's a great podcast series, and I'm super excited about it. And I hope you guys are starting to dive in if you have not yet already. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you leave it a quick rating and review on the Apple Podcast app or on iTunes. But without further ado, let's get right into my 3 takeaways with Dr. Maggie Berghoff. Number 1 is go back to the basics. And the reason I have this as a takeaway is I asked her, what are your 3 most important health habits? And it's one of these things where so many people think that the answer to that question has to be mind-blowing or has to be so complicated because this person is a functional medicine person and they're really healthy themselves. So, their 3 most important health habits must be so crazy. But she goes, number 1 is sleep. I need to make sure that I go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time every single day to the best of her ability. Obviously, with kids, it makes it a lot more difficult. But she's like, as long as I am prioritizing sleep above anything else, because it allows me to be more energetic. If I lack sleep, then I have more cravings and I get a little bit cranky. There's all these things. Sleep is number 1 priority, and how simple is that? That is the number 1 basic. And then number 2 was hydration. That's very basic. And number 3 was her eating to feel good. So many of us, I think, live to eat rather than eat to live. Now, I think you've all heard about the 80-20 rule. Be good 80% of the time, maybe not as good 20% of the time. So 80% of the time, eat to live. Eat things that are going to help you live a better life, that are going to help you live more energetically. And then maybe this 20% of the time you can live to eat and you can eat whatever the hell you want. But back to the basics is huge. Takeaway number 2 is focus on one thing at a time. She's, like I mentioned at the beginning, she's so busy. She's got a lot of different things going on. And so one of the things that people ask her a lot about is her time efficiency. How are you so efficient with your time with everything that you got going on? And she's like, I'm really good at focusing on one thing at a time. She doesn't spend time in her inbox. She's like, she knows that maybe this 30-minute chunk out of the day or maybe this 1 hour chunk out of the day, that's when I'm going to spend time in my inbox and I'm going to go, reply all to my emails, get that all out of the way. So she batches that. She also batches her days. She's like, okay, I know this day I'm going to spend creating a ton of content. Maybe that's Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to spend my whole day writing. And so she kind of gives themes to her days so she can really focus in on one thing at a time and use her time as wisely as possible. And then takeaway number 3 was intentionally put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I've talked about this before, and I think it's so, so, so important because I think that we're all going to be in uncomfortable situations at one point or another. You can either decide to go in uncomfortable situations or you can be thrown into them unexpectedly. Both are going to allow you to improve, but oftentimes if we're unexpectedly thrown into uncomfortable situations, people don't react positively. When people were thrown into quarantine, thrown into COVID, a lot of people didn't react in the best way possible. But if you intentionally go into uncomfortable situations, like for her, if you intentionally get on stage, because if you want to be a better public speaker. If I intentionally go to an improv class because I want to be better in front of people, then you know it's going to get uncomfortable. You're expecting a little bit. It doesn't necessarily make it easier, but because you have that expectation of the uncomfort level, you're able to endure it a little bit more. And so I think the way that you can take action on this is really think about right now. Okay, what skill do I want to have? What's something that I don't have now that's something that I want to develop? Or what's a piece of knowledge that I want to have that I don't have now? What uncomfortable situation can I put myself in that demands that I gain that skill, that demands that I learn that piece of knowledge? Like if I want to be I was like, I want to be a better public speaker. I want to be better in getting in front of people. So I was like, what can help me acquire that skill and that knowledge and that feeling? Oh, I can go to an improv class. That's going to help me. I'm going to put myself into that uncomfortable situation. So I think that's really applicable for just about anybody at any time. And that's something that I'm going to try to continually do throughout my life. But again, guys, my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is go back to the basics. With health and fitness in particular, it's like, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Sleep, hydration, eat food to feel good. Takeaway number 2 was focus on one thing at a time. Batch your days or batch your hours or batch your 10 minutes at a time so that you can really hone in and make the best use of your time. And then takeaway number 3 was intentionally put yourself into uncomfortable situations, essentially in areas that you want to develop a new skill in or develop a new piece of knowledge in. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 takeaways. I create these 3 takeaways for a very specific reason. I used to listen to podcasts all the time and get motivated and get inspired. I'm like, okay, I have all this energy. What do I go do now? And a lot of times I didn't know what I should go do now because I didn't have this practical knowledge. I'm like, okay, this is what I should go do. And so these 3 takeaways are so that you can listen to the episode and then you can listen to these 3 takeaways and be like, okay, if that resonated with me, because it's not everything is going to resonate with you. Not all 3 takeaways every single time is going to resonate with you. But if this resonated with me, this is what I need to go do. This is what I need to start implementing into my life right now in order to get closer to the best version of myself. So I hope you guys are feeling that from these 3 takeaways. But make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you share it with a friend. Make sure you leave a rating and review. And make sure you most importantly, you implement these 3 takeaways so you can get closer and closer to your best you.